is with great pride and a deep sense of honor that I invite His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, to deliver the feature address on this historic occasion, the 50th anniversary of the recognition of the Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union in the sugar industry. This milestone marks not only a defining chapter in the life of GAWU, but also a celebration of the enduring struggle, resilience, and contribution of sugar workers to our nation's development. It is therefore most fitting that we are joined by a head of state whose leadership continues to shape Guyana's progress at a transformative time in our history. His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali was sworn in as Guyana's 9th Executive President on August 2, 2020. Born on April 25, 1980 at Lenora on the west coast of Demerara, he emerged from humble beginnings in a family of educators instilled with the values of discipline, service, and national commitment. President Ali's academic accomplishments are both extensive and distinguished. He holds a doctorate in urban and regional planning from the University of the West Indies, along with advanced qualifications in manpower planning, international business, finance, international commercial law, and business management. This strong academic foundation has underpinned a career defined by competence, vision, and strategic leadership. His journey in public service began in the technical sphere, serving as a senior planner and later as project manager within the Ministry of Finance, where he was involved in key development initiatives. Elected to the National Assembly in 2006, he quickly rose through the ranks, holding important ministerial portfolios including housing and water, and tourism, industry and commerce. Notably, during his tenure in housing, he led the most expansive housing drive in Guyana's history, opening opportunities for thousands of citizens across the country. In Parliament, he distinguished himself as a leading voice on economic and financial matters and provided stewardship as chairman of the Public Accounts Committee and co-chair of the Economic Services Committee. Today, as President, Dr. Ali's leadership extends beyond our borders. He has emerged as a respected voice regionally and internationally, advocating for sustainable development, climate resilience, food security, and economic cooperation. Under his stewardship, Guyana is undergoing an unprecedented transformation, one that is positioning our country and its people firmly on a path towards sustained prosperity and inclusive growth. Comrades, as we reflect on 50 years of GAWU's recognition in the sugar industry, a struggle rooted in justice, dignity, and workers' rights, we are indeed privileged to have with us a president who understands the importance of development that uplifts all our people. Your Excellency, we are deeply appreciative of your presence here today and for taking the time to share in this momentous occasion in the history of our union. Please join me in warmly welcoming His Excellency President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for your very kind welcome. We accommodated a long introduction today because it's GAWU. We can't stop the labor movement. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the executives of the labor union, practitioners, members in labor academia, distinguished members of cabinet, members of parliament, women leaders, former ministers, but more importantly, the workers in this room today. Good afternoon. We can take nothing away from the fact that GAWU has struggled, and that GAWU is not only a union, it's a way of life in the labor history of our country. We can take nothing away from the fact that GAWU has benefited from enormous leadership and continues to benefit from outstanding leadership. Yes, you can applaud that. Similarly, we cannot take away the fact that there would have been no GAWU without the People's Progressive Party. There would have been no GAWU without Dr. Cheddy Jagan. And my dear friend, retired Justice Ramson, a stalwart in the labor movement, and a man who has also contributed significantly, has written many words and lines about this history. We must recognize that the People's Progressive Party played a foundational role in the establishment of GAWU. The Guyana Industrial Workers Union was a predecessor to GAWU, founded by Dr. Jagan. But if we are to fast forward, you've heard a lot about the early beginnings. And I thought Peter would have reminded us that he did not gracefully exit in 2015, but that he was pushed out of a system under a governance mechanism with the APNU+AFC that saw no value in sugar, no value in the sugar workers, no value in bauxite, and no value in the bauxite workers. It is the People's Progressive Party that has kept bauxite and sugar and the workers of bauxite and sugar alive in this country. And I have no hesitation in recognizing these facts, because 50 years allows us not only to reflect, but to be conscious, to be objective, to be realistic, and to be willing to accept the realities. Not so long ago, between 2015 and 2020, we saw in the bauxite industry more than 600 jobs destroyed directly. Hundreds of persons fired without notice. That was not long ago. That was between 2015 and 2020. I remember the solidarity messages that were sent to the unions. Sometimes our memory are so engrossed with the current that we forget what we endured to be where we are today. Between 2015 and 2020, 600 workers who were directly employed in the bauxite industry in Linden, Region 10, were sent packing home. Hundreds without even notice. Since 2020, when I assumed office and the PPP Civic was returned to government, what did we see? And it's not magic. We saw hundreds of millions of US dollars reinvested in bauxite and almost 1,000 new jobs created back in bauxite. With COVID, with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, with the sanctions, with wars, with food crisis, with the global transport and logistics crisis, all of that. Yet, we saw jobs return and investment return, and that is not by accident. That is because of the confidence in the People's Progressive Party civic government. And we cannot speak about GAWU 50 years without speaking about the importance of jobs, the importance of livelihood, the importance of income, the importance of workers' rights, and the importance of the survival of industry. Because the union cannot survive if industries does not survive, if jobs are not created, and if workers are not working. And under the People's Progressive Party Civic, we have ensured that industry survives, jobs were created, jobs were protected, people were working. And what is the crisis we face today? We face a crisis of not having enough people to take up the jobs in the country. That is the reality on your 50th anniversary. And let me come to something that is more deeply associated with GAWU. And I'm saying these things because if the workers and the people of our country become misguided, then we can return to errors that our most recent history taught us. Between 2015 and 2020, we saw a government then that campaigned on expanding sugar, increasing sugar workers' wages, increasing the price for paddy, being elected. What did we get instead? A repeat of their history of destruction for sugar. We saw the abandonment of sugar workers in the sugar estate. When we returned in 2020, the industry was a collection of derelict, a collection of scrap metal, a collection of forests in the fields. That was what was returned to us in just 5 years. Between 2015 and 2020, almost 7,000 jobs, 7,000 families, 7,000 workers were sent on the breadline. And as history would have it, who stood with the workers? Who stood with GAWU? Who marched? Who protested? Who organized hampers to those workers for years? Who joined a line to collect basic food necessity to enjoy a holiday in this country? The People's Progressive Party did not waver from that foundational role of standing with the workers, because our foundational principle is based on the workers, working for the workers, working for the upliftment of the workers. And even 50 years after, you know, the labor movement, you have a friend in the People's Progressive Party government. You have a partner in the People's Progressive Party government. You have a commitment to workers in the People's Progressive Party civic government. In those 5 years, under the APNU+AFC, win, because they are not to be excluded, because the formulation of that new entity is a collection of those who left the old entity. Let us not forget that. Not forgetting the closure of 3 estates. And guess what? See, Paul, workers today must remember that between 2015 and 2019, there was no increase in wages and salaries for the sugar workers. Not a cent increase in wages and salaries for the sugar workers between 2015 and 2019. Do not forget these things. That is part of your 50 years of history. And we must speak about it. It is part of your 50 years. And what is also part of your 50 years of history? That the workers stood once again with the People's Progressive Party and returned us back to office in 2020. And we're thankful to the workers. And what is true about that commitment to the People's Progressive Party? Immediately upon our return, sugar workers were paid 5% retro, $212 million. All workers severed under the APNU+AFC government were paid a cash grant totaling $1.3 billion. 1,400 employees were paid $285 million when there was extended mechanical breakage in the factory. Name one industry anywhere or one government that support workers this way. That's not all. We improve the personnel performance incentive scheme. We reopened the Rose Hall estate. 4,600 workers were rehired, and today 8,100 workers are in this industry because this government has committed tens of billions of dollars in subsidy to keep this industry alive. That is part of your 50 years. You have leaders who go to the parliament and say investment is sugar. Is wasting money. We say investment is sugar. It's investing in the livelihood and lives of tens of thousands of Guyanese families, and that cannot be wastage of money. So in your 50 years of history, you must recognize the fact that sugar is alive today. Sugar is surviving today, and the workers are working in the sugar industry today because of the People's Progressive Party civic government. There is no other fact except this. And let me say to the young workers, this is not fanciful talk. These are the facts. The undisputed facts. You can have many, and it's not only bauxite and sugar. In forestry, my friends from the region, between 2015 and 2020, more than 30,000 families who depended on forestry lost their income. Lost their income. Ordinary timber workers, ordinary laborers, operators, mechanics, to the extent that the Guyana Forestry Commission, after running a surplus in 2014, by the time they got to 2019, they could not have paid their wages and salaries. That's not 50 years ago. That's in the most recent part of our history. Today, the Guyana Forestry Commission, has brought back those 30,000 jobs, and they can pay their wages and are running in surplus today. These are things that we must not take for granted. These are things that are important for the economic health and well-being of this country. Dr. Gopal is someone associated not only with labor, but the development of this country. And I always challenge him that his writing must continue, and he must delve in the topic of public policy, employment, and labor relations. And then you will see how the People's Progressive Party civic public policies are designed in the interests of labor and workers. So it is with a deep sense of pride and historical appreciation that I join in extending heartfelt congratulations to the Guyana Agricultural and Workers Union on the occasion of its 50th anniversary of its recognition as the bargaining agent for workers in the sugar industry. GAWU, you will recall, was established as the British Guyana Industrial Workers Union in 1946, 3 decades prior to its recognition in the sugar industry. GAWU has slogged away in its fight for recognition, with constant agitation and mobilization, especially from 1964 right through to December 1975, when it forced a poll in the industry in which it commanded the support of 97.9% of the 21,955 workers who voted. It was an emphatic victory. The recognition of GAWU by the sugar industry was a product of decades of sacrifice and struggles by the union and its workers. Recognition in 1976 was a victory carved out of hardship and sustained by courage. I invite all of you to stand in a moment of silence for all those who struggled and sacrificed over the last 50 years. May God grant the souls of these men and women everlasting peace. May God grant us the consciousness to always remember their sacrifices and their work, and give us the strength to uphold their principles and values as we continue the struggle henceforth. Thank you very much. Sugar workers have remained loyal to GAWU. Within 4 years of its recognition, GAWU was able to have more than 10,000 sugar workers as financial members. It has remained the largest trade union in Guyana. When the history of Guyana is written in full, and when future generations turn the pages to understand how this nation was shaped, GAWU must be accorded a special place. It stands as a bastion of workers' struggles and as a defender of the fundamental right to freedom. Freedom from exploitation, freedom from injustice, and freedom to live with dignity. GAWU is much more than a union. It is part of the soul of Guyana that fought for freedom, dignity, and democracy, and we have to applaud this aspect of GAWU. Let it also be recorded that the rights that sugar workers enjoy today did not emerge overnight. They were not handed down by benevolent forces. They were won painstakingly through struggle. And struggle they did. For decades, GAWU and its supporters were denied recognition. Their voices were dismissed, their legitimacy challenged, and their resolve tested repeatedly. Yet they persisted, they organized, they resisted, and ultimately they prevailed, because the tide of history could not be contained forever. The year 1976 marked vindication. It was a turning point when the will of the workers triumphed over attempts to suppress them. From that moment forward, GAWU became not only a representative body, but a symbol of resilience and workers' rights. GAWU's fight for the rights of workers has been nothing short of legendary. It has stood firm in the face of adversity advocating for fair wages, humane working conditions, and respect for the dignity of labor. It has defended workers and has done so consistently across generations. We must pause and ask ourselves, what might have been the condition of sugar workers had recognition been granted earlier? Imagine the possibilities. Imagine the lives that could have been improved sooner, the injustices that could have been prevented, the dignity that could have been restored earlier. That delay in recognition was not without consequence. It prolonged hardship and denied workers the full protection and advocacy they deserved. Yet, even in the face of that delay, GAWU did not falter. Its long vigil in defense of workers' rights ensured that progress, though delayed, was not denied indefinitely. The union became a steady and reliable force, advocating not only for economic benefits, but also for the broader well-being of workers and their families. We must also acknowledge that GAWU persevered during one of the most challenging periods in our nation's history, between 1976 and 1992. It operated in a political environment that can only be described as oppressive. It confronted a system that often sought to constrain its influence and limit its effectiveness. Yet, even in those difficult years, GAWU stood its ground. Without GAWU, the plight of workers would have been far worse. That is not speculation, it is a historical truth. The union ensured that workers were not entirely at the mercy of forces beyond their control. But as we honor the past, let us also look to the future. The sugar industry for generations has been an economic mainstay of Guyana. It has shaped and sustained our rural economy and defined much of our national identity. But in recent years, it has faced profound challenges. Under the pretext of being right-sized, the industry was downsized in a manner that caused significant disruption and hardship. Estates were closed. Lands that once flourished with cultivation were left to return to a state of neglect, overtaken by bush and jungle. Machinery, once the backbone of production, was left without proper maintenance. Facilities were shuttered. Communities that depended on sugar were left to grapple with uncertainty and economic decline. That was not long ago. That was 2015 to 2020. This was the situation we inherited in 2020. Since then, under the leadership of the People's Progressive Party Civic, we have taken deliberate steps to begin the process of resuscitating the sugar industry. Over the past 5 years, we have invested resources, re-engaged workers, and initiated efforts to restore production capacity. We have not pretended that this would be easy, nor have we suggested that the result would be immediate. The reality is that rebuilding an industry that is so extensively dismantled is a long and complex undertaking. It requires patience, commitment, partnership, and collaboration. It requires not only government intervention, but also the active participation of workers and their representatives. And this is where GAWU's role remains as critical as ever. I extend an open and sincere invitation to GAWU and to all sugar workers. Let us work together. Let us combine our efforts, our experience, and our shared commitment to restore the sugar industry to a state of viability. The challenges are real, but so too is our collective capacity to overcome them. The sugar industry remains too essential to the rural economy to be allowed to collapse. Entire communities depend on it, not only for employment, but for social stability and economic activity, shops, schools, transportation systems, and local enterprises are all interconnected with the fortunes of sugar. While we have made strides in diversifying our economy, and while new sectors continue to emerge, we remain firmly committed to ensuring that agriculture retains its place as a pillar of our national development. Sugar is a central component of that agricultural foundation. I know there are many concerns which sugar workers have today. We in the government have been supporting the industry, and we ask for collaboration and partnership, for patience and understanding. The task of rebuilding, sustaining, and keeping sugar alive is a task for all of us. I've heard reports of weekly workers having challenges, and we have dealt with those. You have a government that is open to you. Between 2015 and 2020, you were afraid even to go on the picket line. Today, you have a government who would come to reach you on the picket line. We are going to continue to make the efforts to secure our workers, to secure a livelihood, and to bring sustainability to you and your families. Let us not also forget that when you support the People's Progressive Party Civic as that foundational pillar of GAWU, you're supporting your children having free education. You're supporting the Because We Care grant. You're supporting the improved healthcare system, whether it's cardiac services or cancer-related services. You're supporting dialysis. You're supporting increased old age pension. You're supporting housing for your family. You're supporting drainage and irrigation for farmers. You're supporting food security, energy security, climate security. You're supporting the expansion of our economy. You're supporting village roads. You're supporting the improvement in your housing situation. You're supporting the increase in the value of your homes and the value of your communities. You're supporting an economy that is on the rise. So since 1976, GAWU has evolved as a union. It is no longer confined solely to representing sugar workers. It has expanded its reach to encompass a broader spectrum of the working class. This evolution reflects both necessity and vision. In an era when trade unionism has declined, not only here in the Caribbean but across the world, GAWU has remained relevant, resilient, and responsive. Trade unions everywhere face new challenges: changing labor markets, technological disruption, and shifting economic priorities. Yet, the fundamental need for representation, for advocacy, and for collective bargaining has not diminished. If anything, it has become more important. In this context, GAWU's continued contribution to trade unionism is both significant and commendable. It serves as a reminder that organized labor still has a vital role to play in shaping a fair and just society. As we celebrate this golden anniversary of GAWU's recognition in the sugar industry, let us ensure that the sacrifices of those who came before us are not forgotten, and that their legacy continues to inspire future generations. To the leadership and members of GAWU, past and present, I say this: your work has mattered. It has made a difference. It has improved lives, and it has helped to shape the Guyana we know today. You have stood on the front lines of the struggle for bread and justice. You have defended the dignity of workers when it was under threat. You have done so with courage and conviction. As we look ahead, the journey continues. There is still work to be done. There are still challenges to overcome, but there is also reason for hope. With unity, with determination, and with a shared vision, we can build an industry that is sustainable, a workforce that is empowered, and a nation that is stronger. In closing, I once again congratulate the Guyana Agricultural and Workers Union on this historic milestone. May you continue to grow from strength to strength. May your voice remain strong and principled, and may your role in the ongoing struggle for bread and justice in Guyana continue to inspire us all. Thank you, and God bless you.
We now have the vote of thanks. Thank you, Excellency, for that inspiring and wonderful address. Give him a round of applause. Comrade Puran Narine will move the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a great honor for me to deliver the vote of thanks at this very significant occasion as we celebrate 50 years of GAWU's recognition in the sugar industry under the theme, Born of Struggle, Built for Justice. On behalf of the Guyana Agriculture and General Workers Union, I extend sincere gratitude to all who had made today's events a success. We thank our chairperson, Dr. Gopal, for able guiding today's proceedings, and to all who participated in singing of the GAWU song, reminding us of our unity and shared purpose. We are deeply appreciative of the message of solidarity, which reaffirmed the strength of our movement both locally and internationally. Special thanks to Comrade Clifton Grant, Regional Secretary of the IUF, Comrade Christian Bragason, General Secretary of the IUF, for their insightful remarks and continued support to workers' struggles. We also express our gratitude to Mr. Jairam Pitam, Chairman of GAISUKU, for his remarks, Comrade C. Paul Narine, President of GAWU, for his powerful address reflecting on our journey and future direction. We extend thanks to Comrade Tamiti Dayal for the introduction of our featured speaker. A very special and heartfelt thank you to His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, for delivering an inspiring and thought-provoking feature address. Your presence here today underscores the importance of the sugar industry and role of workers in national development. We also thank all the organizers, staff, and supporters whose hard work behind the scenes ensured the smooth execution of this event, as well as all the attendees for your presence and continued commitment. As we reflect on the past 50 years, let us remain steadfast in our mission, standing united, advancing justice, and strengthening the voice of workers. Thank you all, and do have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you, Comrade Ministers. Thanks, everyone, for coming. This session is now brought to an end.